can't you make Google do this? So, I'm the web developer for a marketing agency. For the past 3 to 4 months our SEO guru and I have had the following conversation with our account specialists repeatedly, as, hey, you said you published that page an hour ago, but I'm not seeing any search results for it yet. Us, yeah, you won't. It's published and the sitemap is updated, but you'll need to wait for Google to rescan the site. That can take anywhere from a few days to a few weeks if you're really unlucky, and then it may not rank right away. As, that's unacceptable. Can you not make Google scan the site faster? US, well, we can request Google to re-index the site, but it really doesn't seem to help much. They will index it when they index it. It still probably won't rank that quick. Hours later. As, hey, I hit that button in the search console to request a re-index and the page is still not showing. US, like we said. It will take Google a few days, possibly longer. As, the client needs this page to show in search results. I insist you call Google and make them add it. US, yeah, we'll get right on that. Evidently they read a misinformed blog article on this and took it for fact, so our solution was to turn it around on them. US, hey, Google really needs to speak to the people in charge of these clients. They won't even talk to us, so unfortunately you need to call them. As, that's wonderful. I'll call them right now. Haven't heard another peep out of them. TLDR, account specialists think we can control Google. I found a live cockroach inside a 14-year-old's computer. So I work as IT at a school. The other day a student came in saying their screen was having problems and their computer was being glitchy. I assumed it was probably a screen cable or connection issue, so I popped it open to check inside. As soon as I open it, a half-inch cockroach began scurrying around the computer, eventually running underneath the motherboard. I've seen some very disgusting things, but never have I seen a live cockroach in a child's computer. The kid got his laptop back, and it turned out that it was a motherboard issue, but this heavily disgusts me. All I could think about was that poor kid's home life, which somehow resulted in a live cockroach ending up in his school laptop. Also, fun fact, our school offers a class called Computer Technician. It teaches kids how to repair the school laptops and gives them experience in the IT workplace. I've got plenty of other stories to tell as well. This job seriously proves interesting. The laser sharp spec feat the world's most comprehensive KB. So, at my work there's a department with manufacturing equipment, and so there's a specialist there to keep them running and help people using them. This is a newly created role for that year, as the former department head, HOD, used to do it themselves. The department is quite small, 2 core staff, now 3, with several hundred other users each month. I won't give specifics about why there's hundreds of users needing a specialist and 2 other core staff, as I don't want to blow my account and it isn't risky enough for a throwaway or alt. One piece of equipment is a laser cutter made by an Austrian-based international manufacturer of, believe it or not, laser cutters, laser engravers and laser markers, whose name rhymes with turtleneck. This cutter uses a program to control jobs to be cut and lay them out on the plate to make best use of the material. You import a job into this control software by printing it from your design software to a software printer that converts it to the control format. On this fateful day the specialist, spec, calls in a ticket to our fabulous on-site IT help desk to let us know about the computer that drives this laser cutter is slow to log on /off, site-wide problems and generally lethargic plus unusual problems with the control software. Requesting it to be rebuilt. I swing by towards the end of the day and get to work finding out what is wrong specifically. Why do people never tell you specifically what's up in the first place? After dropping by his office, material storeroom, I find out it is flagging an error about not being able to fit a single job on the plate. He says that he used this machine type and the design software in his last place, knowing both inside out. So I log on with a fresh, factory new, test account, turn on the laser machine and sit in the wind tunnel produced by 4 140mm fans blowing onto the laser driver engine thingy, where laser is made laser. Someone really needs to make a baffle to protect you from that jet blast, but I digress. I am able to replicate the error, so do what any tech worth their salt does when faced with an unfamiliar error. Consult the greatest knowledge base known to mankind, Google. First result is the manufacturer's website with a list of common errors and causes. Guess what, it's there, that fault code. Workpiece is bigger than space available on plate, check workpiece size. I know my beautiful drawing of a small circular is way smaller than the 300x 450 plate, possibly 10x 10mm. Like I said above, it is imported by printing it into the software. I vaguely remember the old HOD showing me where you adjust the print size while testing after I migrated this box over to Win 10 last year, the print properties. You see it defaults to 500x 500, all you do is tick the box to match the size of the workpiece to the size of the design. And click OK. So I do that and lo and behold it works. I communicate this over and log off. I am chatting to the DevOD, other core staff member, a week later about troubles with MS Teams and the damned Wi-Fi, when I ask if there's been any other troubles with the laser cutter since. And no, there haven't. I tell him I just googled it and he remarks that the spec does have a tendency to claim to know everything there is to know about everything. I'm sure we'll meet again someday, probably when complaining about the router not working, not the internet router, but the CNC one. And fellow Brits, this one is pronounced the American way, router, instead of proper way, router, dot. Edit, sodding bullet point. Command line does not work. It's a story which my colleague experienced. I worked at a famous company on firewall tech support as an senior engineer. Our customers are expected to have a fair understanding of the product they purchase. Mistakes can cause company-wide network outages and CEOs will be calling. A new ticket pops up in our queue. Command line does not work. Usually those are nasty issues due to crash or permanent lockout. My colleague picks it and closes the case within seconds. I was curious, so I go up to her and she described this conversation between her and the customer. Tech S, hi, how are you? Cust, not good. I can't log into the command line of this device. Tech S, seeing no visible familiar icons on desktop via customer screen share. Tech S, which software are you using for CLI access? Cust, what's that? Tech S silently installs PuTTY and gets the device login. Tech S, here you go. Type in your password. Few seconds later, can I close this ticket? This customer probably gets paid upwards of 50k and does not know what command line client is to configure the firewall they are hired to set up, monitor and maintain. I'm sure it's not the printer. My company has proprietary software that manages certain types of medical imaging for our clients. I get a call transferred from another segment of our company to handle an issue specific to this piece of software. Me, hi, my name is Op from team in company, how can I help? Caller, hi. We are getting an error when we try to print. I connect into their PC and walk through the steps. Sure enough, I get an Java error when trying to print. Crammed into the lines of Java code is some language that indicates that it might be a fault with the actual printer. I open up Notepad, keyboard mash for a second and then attempt to print. As I expected, an error trying to print, and Windows states the printer is in an error state. Me, well, looks like it's an issue with the printer and not software related. Caller, oh yeah, we've been having issues with that printer all day. Me, you'll want to have someone take a look at that then. Enjoy the rest of your day. You forgot to install the printer. Client calls, you forgot to install the printer on our new PC, I can't print. Me, knowing there are 3 computers in their office, have you tried printing from one of the other computers? Client, no. Me, could you try that, so we can find out if it's just your PC or a general issue with the printer? Client, yes, I'll tell my colleague to try and print something, let me just turn the printer on for him. Me in utter disbelief to myself, you cannot be serious. Client, oh that did it, thanks Alet. And #X200B, she didn't even realize what she had done. I'm certain she thought I fixed it. Never press the shiny red button. System upgrade turns into a robbery in progress. TLDR at bottom. Back again for another tale of insanity and tech woes that dances on the border between stupidly impossible and yet somehow plausible. I was on my way to work tonight and had a pair of cop cars goes flying past me and it reminded me of this story. This was back around early 2005-6ish, at this time I have about 8 years of experience under my belt and I'm pretty confident in what I know and what I don't and the difference between the two. I've installed /upgraded several network setups and phone systems by this point and I'm fairly confident I know how to pull cables and remove the old crap that has been dry rotting for years in the ceilings and walls. This particular job was a network upgrade to replace the old network drops and landline phone switch system and install IP phones along with a new network switch for the recent fiber upgrade they got. The network closet was a 4x4 graveyard filled with junk systems, 2 old phone punch-down panels, dead battery backups, and the current systems I was replacing. This customer was in a small strip mall area that had nice high-drop ceilings, so install and removal of the old garbage was fairly easy. Cut the old junk at the top of the wall, yank it back to the closet, cut it up top, pull the loose junk away from the old systems. I get all the old crap off the wall and load it into my vehicle to scrap/recycle and started pulling the new cables. I got all the new cables pulled and punched down out in the office. I wanted to be out of the customer's way, so I decided to set up the new phones and run cables to all the new equipment before finishing the closet. I'm crawling underneath the counters and desks organizing the system cables. My OCD couldn't let the rat nests alone, while pulling the new cables through. As I'm under the front counter, I come across a small box with a single red button. What could this be, I wonder? I asked the owner if they knew what this curiosity was, and they said they didn't know. I said it looks like a panic button to call the cops if you were getting robbed, and asked if they had a system like that. To the owner's knowledge, they did not, and I had everything out of the closet and nothing I pulled looked like a system like that. They're usually a wall-mounted metal box that's locked with wires running through metal conduit for protection. I asked if they wanted it left or pulled, and they said pull it, so I unmounted it, yanked the wires back up through the wall, tossed a wire nut on each of the ends to be safe, coiled it up, and zip-tied it to a support beam. Obviously I had to press the big red shiny button before pulling it. It's against the law not press it. I want to say about 10 to 15 minutes pass, and I'm currently still under the last station, where the button was, tidying up cables, when I hear the familiar sound of police sirens. My first thought was, that can't be what I think it is. There was no system in the closet. The sirens get much louder, so I pop up from under the station just in time to see 2 cop cars come screeching to a halt in front of the store. Oh shit. I'm in trouble. Luckily the owner was much more curious than I was and was already at the front door. She walked outside and one of the officers came over the loudspeaker. Cop equals cop, O equals owner cop, don't move. Oh, okay. The second cop had gotten out of his vehicle and was standing beside it ready to draw his sidearm. Cop, who are you? We got a report of a robbery in progress at this address. Oh, I'm the owner of this business. There is no robbery going on. Who called you? At this point the first officer gets out of his vehicle and approached the owner, Cop 2 still standing at the ready. The cop and owner talk for a few minutes and finally he signals Cop 2 that it's okay. Cop 2 approaches and all 3 come inside. At this point I want to crawl into my tool bag and hide because I know this happened because of that damn button. Cop 1 explains that an automated system called 911 saying robbery in progress at current address, and they needed to take a look around to verify everything was cool. Cop 2 takes a look around as Cop 1 checks with dispatch. Apparently the system was calling every couple of minutes stating the same thing. I explained what most likely happened and asked if it's okay for me to trace the wire I left in the ceiling. By this time Cop 2 comes back with an all clear and Cop 1 says he will contact dispatch and let them know he's remaining on site till we can find what's making the 911 call. Cop 2 takes off and I start tracing this wire, thank God for wire tone probes. I scamper back up to the wire, hook up my tone box and try and see exactly where this wire is going. 2 ladder climbs later and I find the wire is going next door to another business, thankfully owned by the same owner, but the other business was run by her son. A half dozen ladder climbs later I find the wire running to a locked metal box in the ceiling above the network closet in the second business. Thankfully the key was hanging in the lock, I know real secure, so I pop it open and hit the kill switch. Cop 1 checks in with dispatch about 5 minutes later and they say calls have stopped. Thank God. The owner apologized for the trouble and I do the same. I kept saying sorry the whole time I was tracing the wire. I think the cop was tired of hearing it as he verified with dispatch, asked the owner to sign some paperwork, and took off. The nightmare was over and I asked the owner what she wanted done with the alarm system. She asked if I knew how it worked and how to reset it. I did not and said it looked like it had been here a while. I could try and find info on it but no guarantees. She opted to just have me pull it out. As I was removing it I got curious to what phone line the system was even using. Haven been hiding in the ceiling for so long, How did it have a live number to use? So I grabbed my handy old-fashioned landline phone and dial my cell phone. Turns out it was tied into the line her son's business was using as a fax line. The system was plugged into an outlet above the ceiling. I'm guessing this was installed a while back when it was another business was at this location. Turns out the two offices were originally one large office and the owner had a wall installed in between. She kept the counters on her side so the button never got found. I replaced all the loose ceiling tiles on both businesses, finished the last station I was under when we got raided, finished up all the work left in the network closet, and called it a day. It was interesting explaining why it took so long to do the call to my boss. I was branded the office criminal for about 3 weeks. Neutral smiley TL. DR, was doing a network upgrade, found a red button that no one knew what it did. I pressed it and ended up calling the cops on myself.